Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to some exciting Toronto Raptors news, Riker. You and I were a little bit worried about what would happen with an OG Anunoby extension, if he'd enter restricted free agency and a team would offer him the bag, but Masai Ujiri was not putting any of that to chance and signed OG to a really team-friendly contract. It's honestly a phenomenal deal. 4 years, $72 million for a guy that's a phenomenal 3-and-D player on the wing. What are your thoughts on this OG signing, Riker? Because when you look at the other contracts that were even given out on this on yesterday, when on this day, this is a steal for the Toronto Raptors.
Yep, Ben. Dollars. We thought if OG takes the leap this year and becomes an all-star level player, he has the breakout season that everybody in the Raptors community is expecting to have, then he would be commanding those big numbers, those De'Aaron Fox numbers, maybe Jamal Murray numbers, guys that are not even all-stars yet, but are getting basically max contract extensions. And now you're signing him for less than $20 million a year. And so now you have completely locked in Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and OG. It's a really good step forward and towards solidifying that core. Now, of course, Siakam is a little bit up in the air with his name. You had a fantastic video, Ben, might I add, breaking down the James Harden rumors and reports. So I don't know if Siakam will be part of the mix moving forward, but we assume OG is untouchable for the most part, and securing him long-term at this price it's an absolute steal. It's really good that Masai Ujiri was able to pull this off.
Yeah, and you look at OG's stats, you see his box score, and you think to yourself, okay, maybe this isn't a steal of a contract, because you look at even the 2019-2020 season, only 11 points, 5 rebounds, and assists, but the things that OG brings to the table, they aren't on the box score. OG is a guy that comes in and absolutely clamps up the other team's wing defenders. He gets a lot of rebounds for his size, and we saw in the playoffs his value in the way he can guard all 5 positions on the court. He was playing center in important minutes for this Toronto Raptors team against the Boston Celtics, and that was really our best lineup, even with how well Serge Ibaka was playing at that point. He's a stretch big man that can knock down threes, and it's looked a bit shady in the preseason, Riker, but OG Anunoby's handle, especially in the bubble, was just on a whole nother level, and he's shown progressions. He's on that logical step ladder to a guy where he comes into the league a really strong defender, a guy with a strong jump shot, and it just continues to evolve and evolve. And then once that handle comes into play, that pairs with that athleticism, that slashing ability, he could really take his game to a potentially all-star level. I know that's something I've been throwing out a lot on the podcast, and we signed this guy 4 years, $72 million, Riker. That's under $20 million a year. I thought for sure OG, by the end of next season, if he entered restricted free agency, he was going to get $25+ million, especially with he hasn't broken out yet, so that potential of this season, him really coming to play. This was a very timely deal for Masai Ujiri. It's good for OG, congratulate, because that secures him the money, but I'm just amped about this, Riker. This is exciting.
Ben, in an era where there is wild money being thrown at players, again, De'Aaron Fox maxed out, never an all-star. I guess he is kind of the head of that team, but never been an all-star. They paid him max money. Rudy Gobert just got completely super maxed with the Utah Jazz.
I think he's like the highest paid center of all time.
Does he deserve? I don't know. He has been an all-star, but I don't know what. I'm not gonna. This isn't the Utah Jazz Digest, but I'm sure if it was, we'd have some strong words about that, Ben. But in terms of my point is, in an era where money is just being tossed at players that you think will have value to keep on the team, I think ultimately OG, he's going to become criminally underpaid, because this guy, I mean, we've already commented that we've noticed that there's probably going to be concern with the Toronto Raptors front court. We said that if Aaron Baines goes down with injury, we're going to have to start Boucher at the 5 or Alex Len at the 5. We're not really as confident with these guys going into big, difficult series, especially come playoff time. We expect that OG is going to take a lot of that load in playing small ball 5. So his role, whether or not he takes a step to become an all-star, is going to be significantly increased on this Toronto Raptors team. And to lock a guy up who you expect to give you those minutes and to play in that type of role for less than $20 million a year, nobody should be anything less but ecstatic, then. And then you can break it down. There's a ton of guys that he's now put in the same category as that are way worse than him with a much less ceiling that just got extended at the same time. So this one, he's still getting a lot of money, but I think at the end of the day, we're gonna be like, this guy he took way too little.
Yeah, and I like that's what we were going to transition into because people might say this might be an overpay during time of a pandemic, league revenues are down and all that sort of stuff. So we'll just compare to this contract to other contracts signed on the same day. And OG Anunoby made less money, Riker. I'll pull us both up on the screen. Made less money than Derek White from the San Antonio Spurs. I know he's an all-right shooting guard, has a little bit of a jump shot, but really doesn't have. He's a smaller OG. I almost look at him as a 3-and-D guy with less the defense, probably less the scoring ability, less the potential. So I'm kind of amazed that Derek White made more money than him. Jonathan Isaac, the Pascal Siakam stopper, as they were calling him in the Toronto Raptors series versus the Magic. This guy was. He was all right. He showed spurts of being a really strong defender. Obviously couldn't be that Pascal Siakam stopper in the playoffs or even the Giannis one last year, except in game ones of playoff series. The Orlando Magic are unstoppable in game ones of the playoffs. But this guy tore his ACL and was out for this entire upcoming season. And I don't think he's shown as much, definitely not in terms of winning, definitely not in terms of on-court ability than OG Anunoby. And he made 4 years, $80 million deal, so he's making more money than OG as well. And then
Can I jump in on this one? Can I jump in on this one before we go to the next guy too? I don't want to. I think Jonathan Isaac. He's an interesting case because I think he averaged like 2 blocks and 1.5 steals, which for his position only 2 or 3 guys have done that before. Fact check me. I know I read something about him being in a category in terms of block steals. But if I look at the Orlando Magic, Vucevic is by far their best player. Evan Fournier was like their second best scorer. You just paid Markelle Fultz, who you're going to talk about, and so Isaac is he's at best fourth best guy, and you're giving him that much money. So I don't know. That's why I'm like,
and he can't even play. He can't even play this next year. Yeah. That was a confusing deal for me because you don't know how people are going to recover from that. And Jonathan Isaac's been really injury prone over the course of his career, so definitely agree with you on all those points. And a guy that made less, you brought up Markelle Fultz. He's a less dramatic comparison, but even he made $50 million. What is it, over 3-4 years, Riker? Three years, $50 million from Markelle Fultz, who really, I don't know if he's hit a 3 in the NBA yet. Obviously, it's been a little bit improved from his time in Philadelphia, but the one I'm really sort of shook about, and I'm putting the close-up look on this, but Luke Kennard, Riker. Luke Kennard from the Detroit Pistons. He just got traded over the offseason, got extended by the LA Clippers. Luke Kennard got extended by the LA Clippers for 4 years, $65 million. So in the same ballpark as OG Anunoby. I know he's a shooter. I know he's all those sorts of things, but I don't even know if he was a top 5 player on those Pistons teams that were absolutely abysmal. So OG Anunoby, this is a pure finesse. This is a pure steal. Masai Ujiri, the big thing the Raptors have to do now is get Masai Ujiri back. He's proven it over and over again, just completely finessing the rest of the NBA. Shout out OG Anunoby for getting paid. Shout out for the Raptors for keeping him. Because if you look at the other contracts, I'm in a state of bliss right now, Riker.
Yeah, I feel bad for these other guys that we are talking up OG's salary by talking down how bad their salaries are, but that's it. That's the league, Ben. And I think, it's interesting how it goes. And there's a lot of different factors that play in, like where's your team at and where are you trying to go with your team? Are you trying to leave cap space open? And that's where the Raptors find themselves. And there's a little bit less impact towards cap space now because of Giannis being signed to that Supermax with Milwaukee. And that's, of course, what we wanted to leave the most amount of room for. But even with extending OG, which we both agreed needed to be done, like he is the future, him plus Fred. I don't know about Siakam. We'll see what happens now in the coming days. Yeah, we'll see what. And did you hear the rumors today or the reports that tensions are boiling over with James Harden, that he was throwing a ball at the rookie and he's had some altercations now practice. So I would expect we're going to hear soon that he's getting traded, whether it's the Raptors or not. But OG to me is part of this upcoming future of talent for the Toronto Raptors. And to be able to sign him, again, you compare him to guys that are well below him in terms
Kennard. Luke
right?
Kennard,
OG
Riker.
is a champion. He's a champion. He's a starter on a championship caliber team. And we're now going to be asking him to start at small forward and then close out games at center. Like, this guy is taking on a significant role in the NBA on a championship contending team. This is a fantastic steal. And I almost feel bad for him that he accepted such little money, but he'll get his payday after 4 years too, I'm sure.
Yeah, we thought with OG signing with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports that they were going to try and finesse some big money deals because that's what Rich Paul seems to do with the John Wall Supermax and all those players he's gotten paid. But OG decided to play it safe, and fair enough, especially where the uncertainty in the league right now and all those sorts of things. Definitely interesting stuff. But a couple things before we sort of project into OG's future is another reason why this was such a big pickup for the Raptors is a lot of teams kept a lot of cap space open for 2021. Toronto Raptors are a prime example of this, but now you look at the players taken off the board. Gobert, Giannis, looks like Kawhi's going to re-sign with the Clippers. A lot of these players are just... Paul George is another guy that re-signed with the Clippers. A lot of these big names, for as memes as Paul George is, but these big names are off the boards right now, and a lot of teams are going to have a lot of money to throw around in 2021, and right now, there's not a lot of players to throw money at, so I think a lot of the restricted free agents that are going to come out next season are going to just have bags thrown at them left, right, and center, and I think OG would have been a prime candidate for maybe even an overpay from different teams, 25, 20, the upper 20s in terms of cap space for maybe the Mavericks, the Nuggets. Those are teams that have been rumored for being interested in OG for a long time, so I'm happy we got this deal done. That's been stated in this podcast. I don't think we need to dwell on this any further. But Riker, before we end it off, I think we should project forward about what we think could happen with OG Anunoby in the future. Because I've been named the biggest OG Homer Island guy in Raptors Twitter, on Raptors Reddit and stuff. So what do you think is OG's ceiling? Because I look at him as a potential all-star. If he gets that handle tighter, the way he finishes around the rim, shoots threes and all those sorts of things, I think he really has that all-star, best player on a team potential. Do you think that's a little bit of a reach, or is that a fair sort of placement for OG Anunoby?
East is starting to get packed, Ben. There's a lot of good talent coming over to the East, and I'm sure KD and Kyrie are going to get all-star spots, and if people think Jaylen Brown is going to continue his ascent, then Boston Celtics might start getting more all-star spots as well. But Kyle Lowry, his time it's winding down, right? Fred VanVleet, I don't know if he's flashy enough to really invite to an all-star game. Pascal Siakam, there's a lot of question marks around him in terms of, well, one, whether he'll be with the Raptors, but two, regardless, what is his performance going to be like? Will his play merit him being an all-star? And so really, if the Raptors continue to be a team that's top 6, top 5, top 4, top 3, which we expect them to, you have to give those guys at least 1-2 all-star spots. And if OG takes that next step like we think he will, without a doubt he's going to become the all-star, and he has the kind of attributes that would make him fun in one of those games.
Yeah, no, for sure. Got this flying around the screen, but OG Anunoby, and I don't think his game is necessarily flashy in terms of handles and stuff, but he's sneaky the way he sort of gets these highlight plays. He'll just come in out of nowhere, get a swat out of, on the backside of a defense. He'll just come in and just poster someone in the paint, whether it be off 2 feet, off 1 feet, whether there's 4 people around him or no one. So definitely has that sort of highlight likeness that the mainstream media would like if he starts getting his stats up, which I think could potentially happen this season. I know a lot of people have pegged him as a potential most improved player this year. I don't think we'll dive too much into that right now, but you and I are both really high on OG. We're both happy about this deal, but we want to know what you guys think. Was this a good deal for the Toronto Raptors? Could this go south anyway? I don't really see it going bad. So yeah, let us know in the comment section below. You're the best to make this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Riker, you have any last words? Also, I'm plugging the website as well. Check out the website. Leave comments on there. Any last words?
OG, our God, we got him. Things are good in Raptors land.
Oh, I forgot to run this. I meant to start the podcast off with a little OG's clip to throw it on. I guess we'll end it off here with the laser eyes going. So, yeah, the OG's play of the day. It's certainly going to all the other teams that gave that sort of money to other players that wasn't OG, even though they couldn't pay OG.
I love it.